So Camila's one of our team members. She's sitting right there. Camila was a wealth manager in Colombia, but her lifelong dream was to own her own restaurant. When a friend pitched her the idea to own her own restaurant, she didn't even think about it. She knew she was in for it. She knew she had experience in the field, and it was her dream, so she decided to go for it. What happened in the 8 months after Pharmacy, her restaurant opened, it was clients were really going, revenues were going down, and costs were heavily going up. What happened to Camila is what happens to 80% of restaurateurs in the world. It's the most terrifying statistic of all restaurants. 80% of them failed by year 2, while 60% of them failed by year 1. Pharmacy closed a few months after that. Why? Because of these reasons: cost controls, financial management, reputation management, employee rotation, customer relationship, and theft. These are the biggest problems restaurants face, and that is why that statistic is real. So, imagine we can give Camila the opportunity to open her version of her concept of the restaurant in a safe zone, no risk, low cost, with an acceleration program that would allow her to validate her idea, pivot as many times as she wants during a 10th month process, right? And basically build her concept and eventually launch it. It's an MBA for startups, and that's what Guest Ventures is doing. We're bringing in chefs, investors, and owners who we call restaurateurs, and bringing them in together in a seamless, in an acceleration program that's nestled inside of an actual food hall. So imagine that you have El Mercado de San Miguel, and each of the stands around them are restaurants that we're actually helping accelerate in a 10th month program. So this is a program. We first have an application and admissions process. That process basically takes applications for a 2-month time. And we're focusing on local people. We want to launch local talent in the places that we work for, in the places that we open, and we'll tell you where we're going to open, and then eventually get them on board. They'll have a minimum team, which is a chef, a sous chef, and an aide. Then it comes the learning program. And this is the acceleration program, or the MBA that I was talking about. The learning program teaches about restaurant management, setting up and running a restaurant, marketing and sales, and guest experience. So it's basically what we've been doing here in the Startup Lab for 5 weeks, but we're getting it to them for 10 months. Finally, our idea is to help these guys, these chefs, build their idea, conceptualize it, and of course, launch. And that's what we call the spin-offs. We want these guys to eventually launch into the market, get them investors, and open their own ventures, which will be successful and not part of the terrifying statistic that I showed you before. The market that we have chosen is Mexico City. Why Mexico City? Because Mexico City was named the #1 place to eat last year by the New York Times. And Mexico City has already chefs that have Michelin stars that have been doing great things for the food business. And I don't know if you've seen actually a show on Netflix that's called Chef's Table. It's a huge show now, and they talk to all the chefs. One of the chefs is called Enrique Olvera. Enrique Olvera talks about what he's doing with the Mexican gastronomy, and he shows the speed that the Mexican gastronomy is working with, and that's the traction we want to get on board. There's already local markets that prove that the market model that we are offering works, and there's international competitors such as Gastroemprendedores, that's actually here from Madrid, that are also restaurant accelerators. None of them blend both. We do. In Mexico City, we actually opened in the Condesa district, which is a very nice neighborhood in Mexico City, and we're thinking about a 500 square meters area. We've already been scouting it. One of our group members is in Mexico City right now. We're talking about 220 seats and a monthly revenue of $115,000. Our initial investment is $655,000, and here you can see the breakdown of the numbers. Where do we get money from? Well, food state royalties, which we get 35% from, and then they get 65%. They don't pay anything, and we take 35% of them. They get to keep 65% for expenses such as payroll and their cost of goods sold. Beverages, the bar is what grosses the most at restaurants. We get 72% of those. Sponsorships as well. And then finally, spin-offs. We get to keep equity in the spin-offs that come out from Gastro Ventures. We've already validated the idea with over 23 chefs that are famous. We are some of the faces that we've talked to. With venture capitalists from Santander and from AI, we've been talking to restaurateurs from all over the world, from here in Spain and Mexico City, and food consultants. We've actually talked to 28 students from the Cordon Bleu as well this week. Finally,
Thank you.
here's the team.